What if I told you that you not being consistently profitable in trading has nothing to do with your strategy, indicators, or even the market itself, but with a skill that almost no one talks about? The kind of skill that millionaire traders quietly rely on while the rest of the world chases entry signals, setups, and shiny new systems. Stay with me, because in the next few minutes I'm going to reveal what I believe is the single most overlooked trading skill in existence. And once you understand it, you'll see why every secret millionaire trader depends on it, whether they admit it or not. But first, let me ask you this. How many times have you entered a trade only to sabotage yourself halfway through? You had a plan. You had conviction. But suddenly fear crept in. You cut the winner short. You let the loser run. And by the time you looked back, you realized the market didn't beat you. You beat yourself. That sinking feeling isn't random. It's not bad luck. It's a missing skill. And the truth is, no system will ever save you without this skill. Before I share it, hit that subscribe button, give this video a like, and share it with other traders who need to hear this message, because what we're about to uncover together is the foundation of absolute trading mastery. You don't want to miss the following videos we release, and I promise you, this journey could change how you see the markets forever. Now, here's where the story really begins. Picture the world's top traders. They don't trade with superhuman IQs. They don't have magical crystal balls. Many of them didn't even start with vast amounts of money. But they did have something the average retail trader didn't. They could act in a way that looks boring, even counterintuitive, but produces extraordinary results. That ability is rooted in a single hidden skill: the capacity to detach from immediate outcomes and operate with iron discipline when everyone else is emotionally drowning. Let me paint this for you. Imagine two traders side by side. Both get the same trading signal. Both enter the same trade. One ends up pulling thousands in profit. The other ends up cutting early or blowing up. What's the difference? It isn't the chart. It isn't the market. It's not even the system. The difference is invisible. It's how one trader responded when emotion took over. One had trained the hidden skill. The other hadn't. And here's the uncomfortable truth. Most traders will never uncover it. They'll keep downloading new indicators. They'll keep hopping from one mentor to another. They'll keep searching for that perfect system, while the millionaires quietly compound wealth by leaning on this invisible edge. That's why they can withstand losing streaks that crush others. That's why they don't panic when their trade goes red. That's why they don't sabotage themselves with fear or greed. I want you to think back to your last 10 trades. How many of those trades did you execute exactly as planned? How many times did you override your stop? How often did you move your target because your heart couldn't take the pressure? Be honest with yourself, because every deviation proves what I'm saying. You don't have a system problem. You have a hidden skill problem. This skill is almost like oxygen. You don't think about it, but without it, nothing else works. It doesn't matter how brilliant your strategy is. It doesn't matter how sophisticated your risk management looks on paper. Without this skill, the market will strip you of confidence over and over again until you either quit or lose everything. Now, let me tease the secret. I'm talking about the ability to stay neutral when your emotions demand action. That might sound simple, but don't mistake it for something shallow like patience or discipline. It goes much deeper. The mastery of emotional detachment. The mental rewiring that allows millionaire traders to treat the market like a game of probabilities instead of a battle for survival. They don't need to be right. They don't need to control the outcome. They've trained themselves to let go. The illusion of control traps every losing trader. They believe if they try harder, study longer, and squeeze the market tighter, they'll finally dominate it. But millionaire traders laugh at that. They know control is an illusion. They don't fight the market. They let the probabilities play out and tout their edge. That detachment is the hidden skill. And once you see it, you can never unsee it. I know what you're thinking. Okay, but develop this skill? How do I train myself to be detached when money is on the line? That's precisely what we will explore in the rest of this video. I will take you inside the psychology of the secret millionaire trader, break down how they think differently from the 90%, and give you the roadmap to cultivate this skill for yourself. Because once you master it, you stop chasing shortcuts and become the trader you always dreamed of being. So stay with me. In the next section, I'll show you why detachment isn't just a mindset trick, it's a survival tool. And why is this the inability to detach, silently destroying most traders before they ever realize I? Think about it for a moment. If markets were purely about knowledge, then every trader who studied technical analysis books, bought expensive courses, or memorized candlestick patterns would already be rich. But we both know that's not reality. 90% of traders lose. Not because they don't know what a moving average is. Not because they haven't read about risk management. They lose because when the moment of truth arrives, when money is on the line, they cannot detach themselves from the emotional storm. And here's the dangerous part. Emotions don't just whisper. They scream. They hijack. They convince you that what you're doing is logical when it's nothing but fear or greed in disguise. This is why traders keep repeating the same mistakes even after swearing they'll never do it again. They're fighting an invisible enemy inside their own heads. Now, imagine two scenarios. In the first, you're in an extended position. The market starts moving against you. Your stomach drops. You stare at the screen as red candles print one after another. The fear of losing grows louder with every tick. You can literally feel your heart pounding. And then, in a burst of panic, you exit. You convince yourself it's the safe move. But the second you close the position, the market reverses in your favor. You weren't wrong. You were just hijacked by your inability to detach. In the second scenario, the millionaire trader sits in the same position, watching the same red candles. But here's the difference. He doesn't flinch. He doesn't argue with the screen. He doesn't interpret each tick as a personal attack. He follows the plan he created when he was calm and rational. He has trained himself to watch pain unfold without reacting impulsively. That is detachment. That is the hidden skill. And that is why, in the end, he wins while others spiral. This is where most traders misunderstand discipline. They think discipline means forcing themselves to do something they hate, like clenching their fists and screaming, "I will not close this trade." That's not discipline, that's torture. Proper discipline flows naturally from detachment. When you're detached, you don't have to fight yourself. You execute calmly, almost effortlessly, because you've trained your mind not to cling to outcomes. You've rewired yourself to see every trade as one of many in a long series of probabilities. Nothing more. And yet, here's the paradox. Detachment doesn't mean not caring. Millionaire traders care deeply about performance. They care about the long game. But they've learned that clinging to the result of a single trade is poison. They've learned to care about the process instead of the outcome. They live in a world where every trade is just a brushstroke in a much bigger painting. I want you to stop here and reflect. What would your trading results look like if you had the power to watch the market move against you and feel absolutely nothing? What if you could sit inside the chaos with a calm mind, like a monk sitting through a storm? What if your emotions no longer dictated your exits, entries, confidence, or sense of self-worth? That's not some mystical fantasy. It's exactly what separates you from the millionaire trader. Now, let me tell you something raw. Detachment isn't natural. Human beings are hardwired for survival. We evolved to avoid pain, to chase comfort, and to react quickly to danger. In trading, that same wiring destroys us. Every red candle feels like danger. Every unrealized loss feels like death. Our survival brain screams, "Get out now before it gets worse." But the market isn't a tiger. It's not chasing you. It doesn't care about you. The instincts that kept our ancestors alive in the wild are the same instincts that make us terrible traders today. This is why the hidden skill feels so rare. It requires rewiring what it means to be human in the markets. It requires building a mental gap between stimulus and response. The market moves, that's the stimulus. Most traders respond instantly with fear or greed. Millionaire traders insert a gap. In that gap, they choose. They breathe. They let the plan, not the panic, guide them. And over time, that gap becomes second nature. But let's get practical. How do you start building this gap for yourself? How do you train detachment when every part of you wants to cling, react, and control? The first step is awareness. You cannot detach from emotions you refuse to notice. Every time you feel that urge, that itch to move your stop, to take profits too soon, to revenge trade, you need to pause and label it. Call it out. This is fear. This is greed. By naming it, you shine a light on the invisible enemy. The second step is ritual. Millionaire traders have rituals not because they're superstitious, but because rituals anchor their minds in a calm repetition. Maybe it's writing in a journal before trading. Perhaps it's meditating for 5 minutes before the open. Maybe it's rehearsing the plan out loud before pressing buy or sell. Ritual builds consistency. Consistency builds detachment because your mind knows what to expect and doesn't wander into chaos. And the third step, this is where most traders quit, is exposure. You cannot detach in theory. You can only detach in practice. That means sitting in trades that trigger your emotions and learning to observe them without reacting. It means leaning into discomfort instead of running from it. The more you face it, the weaker its grip becomes. This is why millionaire traders say losses don't faze them. It's not because they don't feel it, they've thought it so often that it no longer controls them. Now, I want to keep you hooked because in the next part, we will break down something even more profound. We've talked about detachment as a hidden skill, but most people miss how this skill creates consistency. Why do traders who master detachment suddenly make steady, compounding gains while everyone else stays trapped in a roller coaster of wins and losses? That's what we'll uncover next. So before we move on, let me remind you, if this resonates, if you're starting to see yourself in what I'm describing, then hit that subscribe button, like this video, and share it with someone stuck in the same cycle. Because this journey isn't just about tactics, it's about transformation. And the next section will take us deeper into how this hidden skill translates into real, tangible financial results. So here's the million-dollar question. Why does detachment, this hidden skill, directly create consistency? Why do traders who master this one thing suddenly transform from erratic, emotional wrecks into calm, predictable profit machines? The answer lies in a brutal truth most traders never confront. Inconsistency is never about the market, it's about you. The market has always been inconsistent. It has always been unpredictable. But your results don't need to be. The only thing that determines whether you rise above or sink into the chaos is your ability to respond the same way, over and over, regardless of the outcome. That is consistency. And consistency is impossible without detachment. Let me break this down. Imagine you flip a coin 100 times. You know that in the long run, it'll land roughly 50-50. But if you panic after every tails and quit after every streak of losses, you'll never reach the long-run probabilities. Trading is no different. Your edge is nothing more than a slightly tilted coin. Maybe it's 55/45. Perhaps it's 60/40. But here's the catch. You'll never see the benefit of that tilt unless you can keep flipping. And you'll never keep flipping if every loss feels like death. That's why detachment is the bridge. It allows you to execute your edge long enough to play out. Now think about this. How many traders have blown their accounts not because their system was broken, but because they couldn't stick to it? They abandoned it after 5 losses. They doubled down out of revenge. They froze when it mattered most. That's not a system problem. That's a detachment problem. Millionaire traders understand this at a cellular level. They don't obsess over whether this trade will win. They obsess over executing the process consistently because they know that's where the compounding begins. And here's where it gets exciting. When you start stacking consistent actions, you create something most traders never taste: predictability. I don't mean predicting the market. I mean predicting yourself and knowing that you will act the same way tomorrow, next week, next month, regardless of what the market throws at you. Do you understand how powerful that is? To finally stop sabotaging yourself? To finally trust your own hands at the wheel? That's when trading transforms from a gamble into a business. Now let me show you how detachment leads to compounding wealth. Picture 2 traders again. Trader A is emotionally attached to every outcome. He cuts profits too soon. He takes revenge trades after losses. His account equity looks like a roller coaster. Up big one week, down even bigger the next. Trader B, on the other hand, has mastered detachment. He takes the same risk on every trade. He lets his winners run to the target. He accepts losses without flinching. His equity curve doesn't explode overnight. It climbs like a staircase, slow and steady, each step built on consistency. 10 years later, Trader A is broke and bitter. Trader B is a millionaire. The difference wasn't intelligence. It wasn't luck. It was detachment. And here's the irony. The detached trader often looks the calmest, the most boring, even robotic. Meanwhile, the attached trader looks like he's hustling, grinding, glued to screens for 12 hours, sweating bullets. But the truth is reversed. The calm, detached trader is the one building wealth. The frantic, emotional trader is the one burning out. It's not about working harder. It's about detaching deeper. I want you to realize something. The market is designed to exploit attachment. Every flashing candle, tick, and piece of news. All noise designed to provoke emotion. If you are attached, you will react. And every reaction feeds the market. That's why brokers love retail traders. That's why most people lose. Because attachment turns you into prey. Detachment, on the other hand, makes you untouchable. It places you outside the game of constant reaction, into a space where only process and probability matter. Think about casinos. Do you think the casino cares if someone walks in and wins $20,000 at the blackjack table? Not at all. Why? Because they're detached. They know the house edge. They know that over thousands of hands, that edge is unshakable. The casino doesn't get emotional about individual outcomes. They focus on the long-term probability. That's precisely what millionaire traders do. They think like casinos, not like gamblers. They detach from the short-term noise and let the law of large numbers do the heavy lifting. Now, here's where you need to get brutally honest with yourself. Are you trading like a gambler or like a casino? Do you measure your success trade by trade, or do you measure it over 100 trades, 1,000 trades, 10,000 trades? Do you panic after 3 losses, or do you calmly continue knowing your edge is still alive? Your answer will tell you whether you've developed the hidden skill. But let me warn you, it's not enough to intellectually agree. You can nod your head right now and say, yes, I get it. Detachment is key. But you haven't mastered it until you embody it in your trading and sit through a losing streak without changing your behavior. Knowledge is cheap. Transformation is expensive. It costs you your old habits. It costs you your ego. It costs you the false comfort of control. And that's why so few ever cross this bridge. The good news? You can start today. You can decide right now that the next time you enter a trade, you will treat it as one of a series. You will detach from whether it wins or loses. You will focus only on executing your plan. 1 trade doesn't define you. 10 trades don't define you. What defines you is the thousands of repetitions where you showed up consistently. That's how the hidden skill turns into real money in your account. And in the next section, I want to take this even deeper. We're going to talk about identity. Because detachment doesn't just change your behavior, it changes who you are as a trader. It rewires the story you tell yourself about success, failure, and what it means to win. And when your identity shifts, the market itself starts to feel different. That's where the real breakthrough happens. Until now, we've talked about detachment as a skill, a behavior you practice when money is on the line. But here's the real breakthrough. Detachment isn't just about what you do in the market. It's about who you become. Because at the deepest level, trading isn't just a game of charts and numbers. It's a game of identity. And until your identity shifts, you'll always fall back into the same destructive patterns. Think about it. Every time you sabotage a trade, close early, or revenge trade, you're not just making a mistake. You're acting out the identity of a specific type of trader. Maybe it's the identity of the fearful trader, always anxious, always trying to avoid pain. Perhaps it's the ego trader, obsessed with being right, unwilling to accept loss. Maybe it's the impulsive trader, addicted to action, jumping in and out without discipline. These aren't just mistakes. They're roles you're unconsciously playing. Now imagine instead the identity of the secret millionaire trader. This trader doesn't identify with fear. He doesn't identify with outcomes. He doesn't even identify with being right. He identifies as the executor of a process. His sense of self is rooted in patience, discipline, and neutrality. He doesn't cling to every tick of the market because he doesn't need the market to validate him. His identity is separate, unshakable, calm. That identity is what produces the hidden skill. This is why so many traders struggle even after years of learning strategies. They've been trying to patch new behaviors onto an old identity. They try to act disciplined while still identifying as someone who chases, fears, and needs the market to prove them worthy. And identity always wins. You will always behave according to who you believe you are. That's why millionaire traders are different. They don't just practice detachment, they become detached traders. Let me give you a powerful example. Imagine a smoker who tries to quit. If you ask him, "Do you want a cigarette?" and he says, "No thanks, I'm trying to quit." What's his identity? He still sees himself as a smoker, just one who's resisting the urge. Now ask another person who quit years ago. "Want a cigarette?" He says, "No thanks, I don't smoke." See the difference? One still identifies as a smoker, fighting his old habits. The other has completely rewritten his identity. He's not resisting, he's transformed. It's the same with trading. If you say, "I'm trying to be disciplined," you still identify as an undisciplined trader fighting against yourself. But when you say, "I am the kind of trader who executes my plan no matter what," you've crossed the bridge. You've rewired the very foundation. You're no longer forcing behavior. You're expressing identity. And when identity shifts, detachment becomes natural. This is why I always say the hidden skill is less about technique and more about transformation. Millionaire traders aren't some superhuman species. They're just people who built an identity around being detached executors of probability. And once that identity is locked in, their actions follow automatically. They don't have to summon willpower. They don't need motivational speeches. They act in alignment with who they are. So let me ask you, what trader identity are you living out right now? Be brutally honest. Do you see yourself as the nervous beginner, desperate for a win to prove you're good enough? Do you see yourself as the gambler, chasing excitement instead of consistency? Do you see yourself as a perfectionist, tweaking strategies endlessly because you can't stand uncertainty? If so, it's no wonder your results keep repeating because the market reflects your identity. Now imagine what happens when you say, I am a detached trader. I am someone who executes without fear. I treat trading like a probability game, not a personal battle. At first, it will feel strange, maybe even fake. But with repetition, practice, and reinforcement, your brain will begin to align. You'll stop needing every trade to work out, because that's not who you are anymore. You'll stop sabotaging yourself, because sabotage no longer fits the story you're telling about you. And here's the fascinating part. When your identity shifts, your results start to shift almost automatically. You take fewer reckless trades. You stick to your plan more often. You let winners run. And as those results build, they reinforce the new identity. It becomes a loop of transformation. Your actions shape your identity, and your identity shapes your actions. That's how millionaire traders are created, not overnight, but through identity compounded over time. This is why you'll often hear great traders talk about trading as a journey of self-discovery. Because the market exposes who you are. If you're insecure, the market will show it. If you're greedy, the market will punish you. If you're patient and detached, the market will reward it. Trading is a mirror, and you'll keep reliving the same painful story until you shift the identity staring back at you. So let's make this practical. Starting today, please write down a statement of trader identity. Not a goal like, I want to be profitable. Not a wish like, I hope I can be disciplined. A declaration. Something like, I am the kind of trader who follows my plan no matter what. Or, I am the kind of trader who treats every trade as just one of many in a long series. This isn't about hype, it's about programming your subconscious. Because the more you repeat it, the more your mind starts building the neural pathways of that detached identity. And here's where the loop ties back into detachment. Once you embody the identity of the detached trader, losses stop feeling personal. Wins stop feeding your ego. You stop oscillating between overconfidence and despair. You execute. And execution is everything. Identity gives birth to consistency, which builds the wealth that 90% of traders will never touch. Now, in the final section of this video, we're going to bring it all together. You've seen how detachment is the hidden skill, creates consistency, and reshapes your identity. But there's one last piece you need to hear. How to sustain this for life. Because mastery isn't about a temporary fix. It's about building an unshakable foundation that lasts through every storm the market throws at you. And that's precisely where we're headed next. So here we are at the final piece. We've uncovered the hidden skill. We've seen how detachment transforms your actions, results, and identity. But now comes the most crucial part, sustaining it. Because let's be honest, it's easy to feel inspired in this moment, nodding along, telling yourself you'll be different from now on. But when the market opens tomorrow, when you're staring at that chart, when your money is on the line, will you still hold the line? Or will you slip back into old habits? That is the actual test. Sustaining this hidden skill isn't about hype. It's not about some magical morning routine. It's about building a structure around yourself so that detachment becomes automatic, not optional. Because if it stays optional, emotions will always win. So, how do you make this structure? It comes down to three things: systems, environment, and accountability. First, systems. Millionaire traders don't rely on willpower. They rely on process. They know that emotion is more potent than logic in the heat of the moment. So they remove as much decision-making as possible ahead of time. They write their trading rules. They define risk before entering. They automate where they can. They create a checklist so clear that execution becomes almost mechanical. That system is what protects detachment when emotions flare up. Second, environment. You cannot expect to stay detached if you're trading in chaos. If your desk is cluttered, your mind is restless, and distractions surround you. Millionaire traders create an environment that reinforces calm and clarity. Maybe it's a minimalist trading setup. Perhaps it's a routine that clears their head before the session. Maybe it's removing the phone from the desk so they're not tempted by noise. Environment matters more than most traders ever admit, because environment shapes behavior silently every day. Third, accountability. This is the piece almost everyone misses. Alone, it's too easy to justify bad behavior. It's too easy to say, just this once, I'll move the stop. But you cut through your excuses when you're accountable, whether to a trading journal, mentor, or a community. Accountability keeps the identity of the detached trader alive when you're tempted to slip. It forces you to face yourself with honesty. Millionaire traders don't always trade alone in silence. Many have networks, communities, or coaches who align them. That accountability is part of the hidden infrastructure. But let's zoom out for a second, because something bigger is at play here. Trading is not just about money. Money is the scoreboard. The real game is internal. The market will constantly test you, expose you, strip away your illusions. Every loss, every win, every hesitation is a reflection of your inner world. That's why mastering detachment isn't just about becoming a better trader. It's about becoming a stronger human being. It's about learning to let go of what you can't control, to surrender your need for certainty, and to trust a process bigger than your momentary emotions. That's not just trading psychology. That's life psychology. So here's my challenge to you. The next time you sit down to trade, don't ask yourself, will I win this trade? Ask yourself, who am I choosing to be right now? Because the answer to that question shapes everything. You'll cut your winners if you choose to be the fearful trades. If you're choosing to be the gambler, you'll over-leverage. If you're choosing to be the detached trader, you'll execute calmly, no matter what. The choice is yours every single time. And if you think this is optional, let me leave you with this truth. Without this hidden skill, you will not make it. You will keep repeating the same cycles, no matter how good your strategy looks on paper. But with this skill, you give yourself the one thing the market can never take from you: control over yourself. And when you control yourself, the market no longer has power over you. That's freedom. That's mastery. That's how secret millionaire traders are born. Now I want you to imagine yourself 1 year from now. Imagine you've practiced detachment for hundreds of trades. Imagine you've stopped sabotaging yourself. Imagine your equity curve rising slowly, steadily, like a staircase. Imagine looking back at who you used to be, your fearful, frantic version, and realizing that trader is gone forever. That's the future waiting for you if you take this seriously. And it starts right now. Not tomorrow. Not next week. Right now. So here's what I want you to do. As soon as this video ends, take out a piece of paper. Write down your new trader identity. Write a declaration. I am a detached trader. I execute without fear. I follow my plan no matter what. Put that paper somewhere you will see it before every session. Make it your anchor. And then, with every trade, live into that identity. Over time, it will become who you are. That's how transformation sticks. That's how detachment becomes permanent. And if this message hit you, if you felt something shift in you while listening, do me a favor. Subscribe to this channel right now. Hit that like button and share this video with another trader who needs to hear it. Because this isn't just about you. It's about building a community of traders who refuse to be slaves to emotion, who choose mastery over chaos, who choose identity over impulse. The more of us there are, the stronger we all become. So remember this: strategies come and go. Indicators rise and fall. Market conditions change every day. But the hidden skill never fades. Detachment is timeless. It's the bedrock beneath every secret millionaire trader's success. And now you know it. The only question left is, will you embody it? Or will you stay stuck in the cycle that traps 90% of traders forever? The choice is yours. Choose wisely.